Hello and welcome to South Today from Oxford. In tonight's programme, tackling traffic chaos on our roads. We can exclusively reveal Oxfordshire's first park and ride outside of the city is set to open in Bicester. Also, a shortage of emergency accommodation, why homelessness in Milton Keynes is getting worse.
And later on, we'll find out about the computer con on the other side of the world that's targeting vulnerable people in the south.
Good evening. Success has had consequences. The designer shopping outlets at Bicester attracts thousands of visitors each day, but that often leads to chronic congestion on the roads and frustration for other businesses and people living nearby. Now the owners of the complex are stumping up the money that the council needs to build a brand new park and ride site. The BBC's learned that plans will be submitted next month. If approved, the 500 space facility, Oxfordshire's first outside the city, would be up and running late next year. Adina Campbell reports.
The bargains may be tempting, but traffic around North Oxfordshire's designer shopping outlet is often a headache.
When you come towards Bicester Village from Kidlington, I've got guys in there that work in Kidlington, live in Kidlington. It takes forever to get there. The traffic sometimes are 40 minutes. Terrible.
Diabolical, especially around by Sainsbury's, with the cars coming out of the multi-storey, and then you've got the traffic lights and not coordinating.
Those traffic woes on the A41 could soon be eased though if a new park and ride goes ahead. Oxfordshire County Council is due to submit a planning application before the end of November. And it's here in this patch of land between the A41 and the new Kingsmere estate where it's expected to be built. It would be the first park and ride in the county outside of Oxford and would be funded by Bicester Village as part of their expansion plans. Businesses in the area say it should help shoppers, particularly in busy times during the weekends and bank holidays.
At the moment, the car parking is going to be free, and myself as a county council will be arguing very strongly into the future that it remains free, so people are encouraged to use this very good asset that we're going to get.
It's not yet clear how much this is going to cost. The site would also be a pick-up point for people travelling away from the town. There are concerns, though, that some businesses might lose out.
There's quite a lot of bias towards Bicester Village. They already have their own bus route from the train stations directly there without passing through the town. But as long as it feeds the town centre, it can only be a good thing.
If approved, the site could be up and running in time for Christmas shopping next year. Adina Campbell, BBC South Today.
There'll be much more from Bicester over the next few days on BBC Radio Oxford as the station continues its big tour of the county. South Central Ambulance Service has confirmed it's to review the decision to sack one of its longest-serving volunteers. Godfrey Smith from Farringdon had been a first responder for 15 years, but he was struck off when it was discovered that he'd broken the speed limit while attending an emergency call. His car was logged doing 33 miles an hour through a 20-mile-an-hour zone. The decision was criticised as too harsh, and a local campaign was started calling for him to be reinstated. Dealing with homelessness is a problem for all our councils, but for one, it's been particularly bad in recent months. Back in May, Milton Keynes was revealed to have the worst track record outside London for rehousing people in emergency bed and breakfast accommodation. As Ben Bland reports, the problem's continuing to grow.
Bringing up a young family can be difficult, especially for those with nowhere to call home. This man asked us not to reveal his identity. He and his partner became homeless more than 3 months ago and have been housed in bed and breakfast hotels ever since. They have a baby and a young child.
You're in one room, your children want to go to sleep, you know, we're both awake, you would hide, you know, we go out of the room, just outside the door, so they can go to sleep, or we'd hide in the toilet, you know, with the light on waiting for them to sleep. But, you know, it's a situation that you don't want to be in.
If a homeless family or someone with a child is put into a bed and breakfast or other temporary accommodation for longer than 6 weeks, that's illegal. Here in Milton Keynes, 35 families were in that position in the first 3 months of this year. That figure almost doubled to 60 between April and June, making it one of the worst areas in England outside London.
It is unacceptable, and I'm certainly, as I said, I'm not complacent. We are doing things to change that, but it is the characteristics of Milton Keynes that cause the issue. In fact, we are a young city. We've only been in place since the 70s, and we don't have a great deal of cheaper end small accommodation.
But in a statement, the Housing Minister said the vast majority of councils are able to house local families effectively, so there is simply no excuse for any family to be stuck in this inappropriate accommodation for long periods of time. The government says it made almost £2 million available to tackle this problem. Milton Keynes applied for a grant but was turned down. Meanwhile, dozens of homeless families here are still waiting for a home of their own. Ben Bland, BBC South Today, Milton Keynes.
Thousands of people living in the more rural parts of our area rely on heating oil to keep their homes warm during the cold winter months. Often they've no alternative because there's no mains gas supply nearby. But filling a storage tank can cost hundreds of pounds, and of course customers have to pay that sum up front. Well, now a charity is helping make things easier for people who might otherwise struggle to afford to keep warm. Jessica Cooper reports.
Topping up the tank. Another 500 litres going in, one of many deliveries made in Oxfordshire every day. But every month the cost of oil changes, affecting people in rural areas. An Oxfordshire charity has told us some who can't afford the price are too embarrassed to ask for any help. It's now in talks with the credit union to find the best way for people on tight budgets to pay for their oil up front.
They're very keen to work with us on a county-wide scheme that will allow people to save for their oil and to borrow when they need to buy.
I got figures going back to 91. We were paying 15p a litre. Now it's 65p a litre.
Paul's got no concerns about turning his heating up after joining his local buying scheme.
If you're on a tight budget and you're having to watch the pennies, you can order 500 litres of oil on this scheme and get it for exactly the same price as the bulk price.
He now coordinates 60 members, buying together to save money. Across the county, there are now 1,000 members of this scheme. In the last year, they've saved, on average, around 10 pence per litre. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when ordering a minimum of 500 litres, that equals a saving of £50. The Community Council is hoping a heating oil fund is just months away to make sure people don't struggle to heat their homes this winter. Jessica Cooper, BBC South Today.
It's a training base for some of our top Paralympic stars, but this week Stoke Mandeville Stadium has welcomed a new generation of athletes. Dozens of children with disabilities have tried out wheelchair basketball, table tennis and athletics at the National Junior Games. Jeremy Stern reports.
Wheelchair basketball was a big hit at last year's Paralympic Games, so no surprise it was a popular choice at the Stoke Mandeville Stadium, but not as popular as boccia.
You have a white ball and you have to get the red ball and the blue ball closest, and one team is red and the other team's blue. Whoever gets it closest wins.
I like the intensity of it, and it's good fun when you haven't got anything else to do.
It's good for people that's like new to sport, just to come along and like try new things and see if they can find a new hobby.
Some had a go for the first time, others are rising stars. 15-year-old Lewis Edwards was spotted throwing a discus here 2 years ago. He's now champion in his age group.
I want to go to the Paralympics. I think 2016 in Rio will be a bit too soon, but I want to go to Tokyo in 2020.
And it all started here?
Yeah, it did all start here, yeah.
This is the 25th year of the National Junior Games, the events organised by the charity Willpower.
They'll come in at the start of the week and they may be quite nervous and maybe apprehensive. It might be their first time away from their families. But by the end of the week, after we've had a week of sport and a lot of fun, you can see them and they don't want to leave.
Today was the first of 4 days of activities. At the end of the week, one of these children will be crowned the national champion. Jeremy Stern, BBC South Today.
Looks great. Just a reminder that nominations are now open for this year's Oxfordshire Sports Awards. Categories include Club of the Year and Unsung Hero. You can find out more and cast your vote by logging on to the Oxfordshire Sports Partnership website. That's all from me for the moment. I'll have the headlines at 8 and a full bulletin at 10:25. Goodbye.
A cold calling